Yo, what's going on? Today we are going to be polling 100 people all around free-to-play worlds to find out what their favorite skill is. And at the end of the video, I'll tally all their votes up and we'll see which skill is the most popular and what skills people don't like. But what they don't know beforehand is I'm going to be giving them 100k for helping me out with the poll. However, the only people that I'm going to be asking are people who are hardworking and not people standing around the GE this time. And I checked every person's stats to make sure they weren't members or had insanely high stats to the point where 100k wouldn't benefit them. So they were all people who had free-to-play stats that averaged around maybe like 30s, 40s, maybe 50s. I went all around the free-to-play world map, and basically what I would do is I would get to the spot, hop between every single world to find people, and then move on to the next spot after I went through all the worlds. It's really not as easy to find people as you would think. It took me like 7 or 8 hours in total to find 100 people because there's so many bots or people who refused to help or just ignored me. I remember some people, I'd be like, hey man, what's up? And they would run away and log out, and I was so confused. But just about everyone who helped me out with the poll was so thankful for the 100k, and they said things like, wow, this is going to help me with my bond, or things to that effect. Also, take some guesses in your head now what you think the most popular skill was, and there were also 2 skills that got no votes. So take your guess on what those 2 skills were as well before we get to the end of the video with the results. And I know that some people might think that these results are scuffed because you might think people are going to be doing whatever skill they like the most, so therefore wherever I spend the most amount of time is going to get the most votes. But no, that isn't the case. The majority of people that responded said their favorite skill wasn't the one they were currently training at the time, and I mean, the video proof is all here, so. Another thing I noticed is that there are a lot of Spanish-speaking players, like way more than I ever thought there were. Thankfully, my high school Spanish classes came in handy, and I probably sounded like an idiot trying to communicate to them about the poll, but they were nice about it and helped me out anyways. I talk about this all the time, but I think it's so neat how people from all around the world can play the same game together and experience the same things. It was pretty fun hanging around in free-to-play, and I'd say my favorite place personally were the Karamja docks. And even though most of the accounts were bots, a lot of people were actually talking with each other, and those people were excited to help me out with the poll. But as you all know, there are so many bots in free-to-play, but honestly, there are some spots that are literally unplayable because of that. And I'd have to say that mining was the worst. Like, you're not going to be able to find a free world in the mining guild for the iron ore rocks, or same thing with the Alcarid iron rocks. And pretty much every adamant ore spawn in the free-to-play worlds had bots hopping around to mine them. I know Jagex does their best to ban them, but like, there's so many blatantly obvious bots in every single free-to-play world doing all the common money-making methods. If bots were gone, I'm sure it would have a negative impact on the economy in the short term, but it would be so much better in the long term. There are so many new players that quit solely because it's nearly impossible to get the GP for a bond through methods such as woodcutting or mining. But even for people who do have the money for membership, how are they supposed to get a taste of the game if you literally can't mine an iron ore anywhere? Okay, but I'm going to cut myself off there because that's not the point of this video, and I can make so many videos just rambling about the economy. But anyways, there are so many people in free-to-play grinding for a bond that are some of the nicest and most generous people in the game. And some of them didn't want to take the GP, and they had to convince them it was alright. They say the most generous people are the ones who have nothing themselves. And not even just in RuneScape, this applies to real life too, because those are the people that understand the most what it's like to be in that position. But if you're looking for some activities to do, try running around free-to-play worlds, and you don't even have to have GP. You can easily find people asking for help on how to get to different locations or train certain skills, and you could help by teaching them or directing them to the wiki or YouTube videos. I mean, there's so many different ways to help people in the game, and giving money to them isn't always the best way to help out in certain situations, or more specifically for people who just started and don't understand the value of GP yet. But I have been saving up bonds to give to free-to-players who help out newer players, which I have tests that I'll be doing in future videos to find out who the truly helpful players are in free-to-play. But that is the last of the 10 mil cash stack given away, which means that was the 100th person. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the results are from this. So please excuse this terrible graphic I made, but here's what we've got. So fishing was the most popular skill, while defense and firemaking each had no votes. Like, it makes sense that defense would have 0 votes, and I knew firemaking wouldn't be popular, but I thought that at least some people would vote for it because of how fast the levels are, but I guess not. I mean, seriously, even hit points had 2 votes. I'm also disappointed that cooking only had 3 votes, but I'm not going to say anything else about that. But yeah, pretty much everything else is about what I was expecting from these results. I hope you find this chart interesting. I know I did. And I hope you enjoyed the video as well. Also, I'm going to link a Reddit thread in the description, which is a bit of a read, and some of you might have seen it before if you browse Reddit, but it's such a good post and very relevant. But that's all I've got to say, so I want to thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you again tomorrow.